Hi everyone, John Wascavage here. Welcome to our 4th episode of Codes Clips. This month I'm going to talk to you about smoke detector and carbon monoxide detector locations. Now, smoke detectors are required on each floor level of a dwelling, including basements, in each bedroom, and in the hallway or near vicinity of a sleeping area. So we're going to check out the smoke detector here in this new house. Also, carbon monoxide detectors came into play a few code cycles ago, where the code is now requiring carbon monoxide detectors to be placed outside of the sleeping area in the near vicinity. Now, we're in this new house. We're checking the detectors in the hallway here. This is a dual detector, which means when it rings, it's going to test for carbon monoxide and also for smoke. So we're going to put this through a test. To my understanding, it talks. So let's check it out and see if it meets code. Now this detector passes inspection. Now let's go to Sam. He's across the township. Let's go see what he's into.
Okay, hey John, we're going to go inside and take a look at a load path. We're at another house out here in the township. We're in the framing stages of this house. And right here is a good example of a load path. So we have, this is actually an interior load-bearing wall. It's taking the load from all of these second floor joists. They're bearing, a minimum of 1.5 inches on top of this wall. And this is an interior load-bearing wall that's carrying this whole floor load. So these are all important. You can't remove any of the structural members here. And if you'd like, we can follow the load path the whole way down to the foundation. You see, this is the other side of the wall. A very good cross-sectional for you to see here. The load path takes the weight from up there on the second floor joist the whole way down to this bottom plate, solid blocking for the first floor decking, and then it sits on this steel I-beam. And then the steel I-beam's load follows the whole way to the foundation through this steel column. And that's a complete load path, a good example of one in this house. Now we're going to go to Mike, who's in at the township office.
Welcome back to another edition of Codes Clips. Thanks, Sam. That's a load of information there. Today, rather than talking about enforcement, I kind of wanted to talk about a way to prevent any enforcement, and that's by applying for a building and zoning permit for any of your construction jobs. Should you want to construct, alter, enlarge, demolish, repair, or change the occupancy to a building in Silver Spring Township, you're probably going to need a permit, and we ask that you double check with our permit clerks or receptionists to see if this is the case. Today I brought a copy of one of our building and zoning permits here to take a look at. We do have some state exemptions that may come into play for your construction project, or maybe if you have a specialty thing you're doing on a property, we have some other permits too, which you'll be directed to depending on depending on what you're getting into. For example, if you're looking to demolish a 1,000 square foot garage on your property, you might just need a demo permit or something like that. At the top of our permit here, you'll see it asks you to indicate what type of project you're doing, whether that's an addition, an alteration, a deck, maybe even a single family house. We ask you fill that out, and then it asks just for some other basic information. If you're using a contractor, their information, home improvement contractor, license, things like that, or workers' compensation. It also, once you get into the permit, it'll ask you some questions about your property, the size of the property, maybe where your property lines are. You can always refer to Cumberland County's property mapper mapping application to help you with that. If you just go to Google and type in Cumberland County property mapper, it'll direct you there, put your address in. It'll list a bunch of those details for you. And you might be able to even use this map to help with your impervious coverage worksheet, which we're going to talk about in a minute here. On the following page here in our application, our permit clerks have included a checklist. There's a checklist for building and zoning. We really ask you to review this checklist prior to submitting an application. It's going to help keep any delays at a minimum during our review process. As we continue through the permit, we come to our zoning permit application page. This helps our zoning officer determine that a structure is placed in the appropriate area, meets our ordinance requirements, and as I stated previously, meets all the impervious requirements based on your development maybe, or your zoning district. The impervious coverage is basically the amount of structures you can have on your property in relation to undisturbed ground or grass. So for example, if you have a 3,000 square foot property and you have 1,000 square foot of structures on it, you have an impervious coverage of 33%. So this will help us determine how many more square feet of structure you can put on your property, as well as a variety of other things in the zoning review. We have an example of a site plan and an impervious coverage map on our last page you can take a look at. This is what we're going to ask our residents to submit during our zoning application. It's going to ask you where your property lines are, how far away the property lines are from the proposed project, and basically the square foot, heights, and a few other things in relation to the structures on your property. Once you get through the zoning process, a building permit may be required. We're going to talk about this on a future edition of Codes Clips. Our building permit's going to require a lot more information and maybe some expanded specs or details, detailed drawings from an engineer even. So, but the main takeaways for this month's edition of Codes Clips is always check with Silver Spring Township if you need a permit. Ensure you go through our checklist and you're submitting all the correct documents. And if you ever have any questions, please just call ahead and ask. Our permit clerks are great and they'll walk you through every step of the process. But until next time, thanks for stopping by Codes Clips, and we'll look forward to talking to you next month.
Fire.